They walked in silence, always in step, always together. Two shadows bound by something deeper than blood. When one turned her head, the other followed. When one blinked, the other had already closed her eyes. They never spoke. At least, not to us. To the world, they were mute. To each other, a storm of whispers, laughter, secrets, a private language only they could enter. Their names were June and Jennifer Gibbons, identical twins, born in Wales, forgotten by the world, and determined to forget it in return. But when two souls fuse so tightly they can no longer breathe on their own, something breaks. And sometimes, one has to die for the other to survive. This isn't fiction. This is the true story of the Silent Twins. April 11th, 1963. A quiet hospital room in Haverfordwest, Wales. Two baby girls entered the world, the daughters of Caribbean immigrants, new to a country that would never quite welcome them. June and Jennifer Gibbons. At first, they were like any other infants, smiling, babbling, holding tiny fists in the air as if reaching for invisible stars. But somewhere along the way, something shifted. At school, their mouths stopped moving. They no longer played with other children. They turned inward, folding into each other like pages in a book no one else could read. They whispered, fast and low, in a language so tangled and secret that even their parents couldn't make sense of it. Not English, not Creole. Something else. Something theirs. Teachers called it selective mutism. Neighbors called it strange. Their classmates had a different word, freaks. They mocked the girls, threw things, stared. So the twins stared back, or didn't. Most of the time, they didn't even blink. Their family moved, hoping for a fresh start, but only found deeper isolation. They became the only black children in a rural, white town, and the whispers between them grew faster, thicker, like vines wrapping tighter around a pair of matching hearts. They stopped sitting with their siblings. They watched family dinners from the staircase, silent eyes peering from the shadows. Every day their world got smaller, until only two people were left inside it. And from that silence, something dark began to bloom. There's a name for what they spoke, a rare phenomenon found in some twins, cryptophagia. It means secret speech. But what June and Jennifer created was more than a quirky twin code. It was an entire world, grammar, slang, rhythm, spun from silence and sealed tight with trust. They didn't just talk, they raced through sentences, finished each other's thoughts before they began, spoke in unison as if possessed by a single mind split across two mouths. To them, it was beautiful. To everyone else, it was terrifying. The school system panicked, counselors, therapists, officials, all with one shared goal: break the bond. The girls were separated, sent to different boarding schools, one here, one there, miles apart. What followed wasn't independence, it was collapse. Each twin stopped moving, stopped eating, stopped being. Teachers would find them frozen in their rooms, eyes wide and empty, like porcelain dolls abandoned in the wrong house. It was as if, without the other, neither could function. When they were finally reunited, the silence didn't break, it deepened. Behind their bedroom door, something began to ferment. They wrote, obsessively, stories, diaries, novels, fantasy worlds, characters who killed, lovers who betrayed, sisters who died. Thousands of pages poured out, stories soaked in fire, blood, and death. But their diaries held the most chilling confessions of all. Jennifer wrote, "I am only half a person. Without June, I am nothing." June wrote, "She is dark and evil. I want to live, but not with her." Love, hate, worship, resentment, devotion, fear. Two souls shackled together, begging for space, yet terrified to be alone. And soon, their whispers would spill into the real world. With matches in hand, by their teenage years, the world had turned its back on June and Jennifer, and they had returned the favor. No jobs, no friends, no plans, just notebooks. and silence, and each other. They spent their days writing. Stories full of violence, obsession, jealousy, fiction maybe, but always about twins, and always ending in death. Then, the stories stopped being enough. It began with petty theft, shoplifting candy, breaking into homes, watching people, always together, always just out of reach. But soon, their crimes grew bolder and hungrier. They started setting fires, one, then another. Empty buildings, sheds, warehouses, always at night, always watching them burn together, side by side, hands trembling in the glow. In 1981, when they were just 18, the Gibbons twins were arrested and charged with multiple counts of arson. In court, they offered no defense, no explanation. They sat in silence, mirrors of each other, still, expressionless, untouchable. Then came the sentence. Not jail, Broadmoor Hospital, a high-security psychiatric institution, home to murderers, the criminally insane, people who would never see daylight again. June and Jennifer were sentenced indefinitely. Two teenage girls locked inside a fortress built for society's darkest souls. They spent 11 years there, 11 years among the deeply disturbed. Behind iron gates and padded cells, the twins unraveled further and closer. Their diaries from that time are chilling, obsessive, unfiltered. June wrote, "I say to her, Jennifer, you are a demon, you are possessed." Jennifer wrote, "We have become fatal enemies in each other's eyes." They hated each other, they loved each other, they wanted to kill, they wanted to die, and deep within their mirrored madness, a decision began to form, a pact, a promise. Only one of them would leave Broadmoor alive. After 11 years in Broadmoor, the twins were approved for transfer to a lower security clinic. A fresh start, a second chance. It should have been a good thing. But something was wrong. Jennifer wasn't excited. She was quiet, even for her. She whispered to her sister, and only to her sister, "I'm going to die. It's time. I have to go." June said nothing. Not then, but years later she admitted she'd known. Somehow, she'd known. March 9th, 1993. The twins arrived at Caswell Clinic in Wales. They stepped out of the transport van. Jennifer leaned on June's shoulder. Her eyes were glassy, her skin gray. Then, without a sound, she collapsed. By that evening, Jennifer Gibbons was dead. No trauma, no injury, no overdose. The cause was listed as acute myocarditis, a sudden, severe inflammation of the heart, a rare condition, almost unheard of in healthy 30-year-olds. No warning, no explanation, no answer. Doctors were baffled. There was no evidence of drugs, no illness, no infection, just death, as if her heart had simply given up or been let go. And June, she didn't cry. She didn't ask questions. She looked at her sister's body and said, "I'm free." She spoke. For the first time in years. She spoke to the nurses, to the doctors, to the world. She laughed. She smiled. She lived. People began to wonder, had they made a pact? Had Jennifer chosen to die? Willed it? Surrendered her life so June could finally have her own? Or was it something darker? Something that slipped between them in those last quiet nights? Something ancient and unnamed? We'll never know. Jennifer Gibbons is gone, but June remains. She's still here, still alive, still free. The world is different now. For June, it's a world that's no longer bound by the echoes of her twins' whispers. A world she must navigate alone. For decades, June didn't speak of Jennifer. The twins had been silent for so long that when the words finally came, they were halting, uncertain. But in those quiet moments, June began to tell her story, and the story was always the same. One line repeated, like a broken record. Jennifer had to die so I could live. To psychologists and researchers, the twins were a mystery, an extreme case of shared psychosis. A bond so consuming it destroyed the individuality of both. A relationship so intertwined, so suffocating that only death could offer freedom. Their diaries, full of grief and creativity, chaos and poetry, now stand as the only remains of what was truly between them. Those words are all that's left. The words they never spoke aloud. The words they could never share with anyone else. But the lingering question, the question that will never have an answer, is this. Was it really freedom? Was June truly liberated the moment Jennifer left? Or was she simply trapped in a new form of isolation? Their story forces us to confront a terrifying reality. What happens when connection becomes too much? When the need to be understood goes beyond human limits, and the boundaries between self and other become nothing more than thin glass? What happens when love is no longer a bond, but a cage? What happens when silence isn't just a choice, but a prison? In the end, the twins' story is not just about two people caught in the throes of madness. It's about the darkness we all carry, the need to belong, to be known, and to be free, and the price we might pay for both. June has lived on, but the question still haunts, is she truly free, or is she simply alone? Perhaps that is to realize we are never alone until we are.